You know, it's funny how the term Netflix movie has become a kind of byword for cheap, sloppy, derivative crap that was too weak for any legit distributor to take on, usually starring a bunch of washed up actors in need of an easy payday, with production values that absolutely don't match up with the supposed budget. Case in point, Atlas, a sci-fi action movie starring Jenny from the Block, about a disastrous mission to take down a rogue AI who plans to exterminate the human race. It's exactly the kind of predictable, forgettable content that we've all seen a million times before, and as a kind of knowing, tongue-in-cheek parody of the genre, it might actually have worked. But what makes Atlas so charmingly funny is how deadly serious it takes itself. It really thinks it's this piece of groundbreaking science fiction, and probably the start of a lucrative new franchise, which is just so cute. Anyway, the movie's told from the perspective of Atlas Shepard, who joins the likes of Cypher Rage, Mason Storm, John Matrix, and Lincoln Hawk in the characters with names that could only possibly belong to action heroes category. Atlas is a genius computer programmer and artificial intelligence expert with a messy personal life and a problem with authority. I know this not because the movie cleverly reveals it about her through interactions with other characters, visual storytelling in her home, and subtle behavioural clues from the actress playing her, but because the script just straight up tells me who she is. You know, it's always great when two characters get together to exchange information that they both already know, purely for the benefit of the audience.
Not a great plan.
Modern screenwriting, everyone. Anyway, Atlas is haunted by the childhood memory of Harlan, an android designed by her mother who turned against his creator, infected all the other androids on Earth and tried to destroy the human race. Where have I heard this story before? I mean, I guess he wasn't too successful because he only managed to kill like a few million people before getting defeated and storming off in the huff, but whatever. Flash forward 30 years or so and one of Harlan's sleeper agents is captured while posing as a human on Earth. After interrogating his head, Atlas learns that Harlan fled to a remote planet in the Andromeda Galaxy following his defeat.
Oh, come on!
Wait, what? The Andromeda Galaxy is like 2.5 million light years away from our own. Are you seriously telling me that he was able to get there using near-future technology? How? We've barely advanced beyond the space shuttle in the year 2024, and that thing was designed in the fucking 1970s. Whatever. So the plan is for Discount Apone to lead a force of mech warriors to Harlan's base in the Andromeda Galaxy, because that's a thing we can just do now, I guess, then find him and capture him, because apparently they really want to study his robot brain or something. You realise it's like 30 years out of date, right? I mean, what do you actually expect to learn from it at this point? Atlas reckons that this is all a trap because she's the only character in this movie with an ounce of brains, but Discount Apone is like, nah, it'll be fine. But then, wouldn't you know it, it turns out to not be fine, and the ship gets shot down, most of the soldiers are killed, and for some reason Atlas ends up stranded on the surface inside a mech suit that she's never been trained for and has no idea how to operate. Cue lots of wacky jokes about instruction manuals and language preferences. Oh yeah, and get used to this state of affairs, by the way, because this is how you're going to be spending the next 60 minutes of the movie, watching Jennifer Lopez trying to act while complaining about stuff to Smith, the AI that's built into the mech. Will she learn to put aside her distrust of Smith long enough to foil Harlan's plans and save the human race, or is this the last ride for Jenny from the Block? You know, a movie about a person trapped inside a giant mech suit blowing stuff up and causing all kinds of glorious destruction sounds like a great idea in theory, but like most theories, it tends to fall apart once actual reality sets in. The mech battle in District 9 was fucking awesome, but it only lasted for a couple of minutes because it's pretty difficult to sustain that tempo of action for any length of time, and Atlas is the perfect example of why. Most of the movie is just Jennifer Lopez plodding around from place to place inside the suit, having conversations with someone who isn't there and reacting to stuff that isn't actually happening, and really it's about as exciting as you might expect. There's a vague attempt to develop a buddy movie dynamic with Atlas struggling to let go of her prejudice against AI and eventually form an unlikely friendship with Smith, but that kind of thing really depends on strong dialogue and character development, two things which are notably absent from this movie. Visually, it's a strange mashup of barely passable alien landscapes, a few half-decent if pretty lightweight action scenes, and cheap dogshit CGI that looks like leftovers from a mid-2000s Sci-Fi Channel original. I was actually kinda shocked to discover that they spent $100 million on this movie. Like, what the fuck did you actually spend it on? The creator cost $20 million less than this, and it looked amazing by comparison. Also, I'm not convinced that the writers actually understand what an AI is, because Harlan and his mates are confined inside physical bodies for the entire movie, which funnily enough look exactly like regular old humans to save money, with no link to the outside world or to each other, so if they get destroyed, that's it, they're just gone, I guess. It's like some weird 1950s idea of what machine intelligence should be like. Also, I love how there's no attempt to address the moral implications of any of this. The fact that intelligent machines were formerly used as slave labor and were literally fighting for the right to exist. I mean, does that matter at all? Does anyone want to look a little deeper into the implications of machine consciousness and whether we have a right to arbitrarily destroy it? Nah, who cares when you can watch big guns go boom and mechs with preferred pronouns?
I'm sorry, but my pronouns are she and her, not it.
You know, something tells me this movie is not going to age well. Speaking of aging well though, Jennifer Lopez was clearly told a number of very big lies going into this film. Lies like, you're a really good actress, you should definitely be trying to reinvent yourself as an action star in your mid-50s, and this movie is going to be great for your career. I mean, she definitely throws herself into the role with everything she has, playing it dead straight like this is some Shakespearean tragedy instead of a goofy, low-budget, direct-to-streaming sci-fi action movie that'll be forgotten as soon as it's released. But even the best actress in the world couldn't make chicken soup out of chicken shit. The movie really goes out of its way to paint Atlas as some eccentric genius, the likes of which humanity has never witnessed, but she makes consistently dumb decisions throughout the film. She fails to anticipate the obvious trap that's been set for the mission, and she fails to consider the obvious security risk of going up against someone who's literally scanned her brain and knows every facet of her personality. Speaking of which, Simu Liu is just as bland and forgettable here as he was in Shang-Chi, a movie that I have to keep reminding myself even got made. But while it's practically expected to be a generic milquetoast hero in an MCU movie these days, an antagonist like Harlan demands something more from an actor, and I just don't think Simu has it in him. As a villain, Harlan's about as menacing and intimidating as a teenage J-pop star. Sterling K. Brown, on the other hand, is a good actor, and I really like the guy, which is why it's so disappointing to see him wasting his time in shit like this, a film which asks absolutely nothing from him. Seriously, that dude needs to fire his agent, because anyone who dumps you into The Predator and then Atlas clearly doesn't have your best interests at heart. Ultimately, Atlas's biggest crime is that it's just another forgettable, derivative entry into the list of hopeful but doomed Netflix movies created with high hopes of jump-starting their own little franchises, only to become just another piece of disposable content playing in the background while people absent-mindedly scroll through their phones. It's not offensively shit in the same way as Rebel Moon, but it is a boring, derivative, and ultimately pointless rehash of stuff that's already been done far better before. And unless you're some kind of massive Jennifer Lopez fan, I can't think of many reasons to recommend it to anyone. So do yourself a favour, save a couple of hours and skip this one. You won't be missing much. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.